COVID-19 is spreading uncontrolled in Colorado. We are nearing all-time highs in hospitalizations, with deaths low, yet rising. Denver boards up in anticipation of trouble on election night or after, while those of us who aren't going to riot can start planning on how we'll help heal relationships once the votes are counted. Some of those votes will come from next viewers voting for the first time. I admire that immensely.
I don't know if I ever thought I could make a difference before, and maybe I can't now, but gotta try.
And a sign for voters suggests you need to strip down to work this polling place. Well, that's inappropriate. Of course it is, so it's next. Downtown Denver's boarded up like it expects a hurricane of human anger in reaction to either the election results or in reaction to President Trump's actions in response to the election results. Law enforcement up and down the Front Range are preparing for unrest, a word we more often associate with elections overseas. Here's Steve Steger.
It is not usual to have to go through these type of efforts for an election.
Then again, nothing's been usual in 2020.
We've had lots of practice for the last 8 months or so.
Denver's Director of Public Safety, Murphy Robinson, says his police department will be fully staffed this week, ready to respond to anything, though he hopes they won't be needed.
We have no credible threats at this time, Steve. We are, of course, watching a number of different folks.
Robinson says the possibility of people heading to the streets adds another concern with Denver's rising COVID-19 numbers. He says he's telling his officers to enforce public health orders like the city's outdoor mask mandate.
I think we've had months of warnings. Now it's to the point where we're going to really start to enforce these public health orders.
Denver could also get help from suburban departments, though they are planning for potential problems in their own areas.
We're preparing for an onslaught of people out and about.
Douglas County Sheriff Tony Spurlock says he's formed a strike team with the police departments in his county, officers and deputies ready to respond to anything.
I have never seen anything like this before, and I've been in this business for 40 years.
The Republican sheriff acknowledges that there's a lot of anger on both sides of the political spectrum right now. Anger he hopes won't get the best of people.
I don't think it's going to matter which side wins or loses. I think that we're going to have people that have become accustomed to going out and protesting and being disruptive. And I think that we're just going to see that.
Now, Spurlock says that police departments all across the Front Range are having the same conversation. And again, they just want to be prepared and hope that they are not needed. By the way, this is the postcard that businesses in the city of Denver got, encouraging them to take precautions to protect their business and also encouraging them to report damage as it happens so that they can try to hold the people accountable should there be property damage following the election, Kyle. And that's something, Steve, that we saw from Mayor Hancock's administration months ago when there was property damage. They said that they wanted to aggressively go after that. But I hear Sheriff Spurlock say there's going to be people who are going to be protesting and being disruptive. Those are two separate things. One of those things does not break the law and is a treasured American right, and then the other one can break the law. So just the fact that people are going to be in the streets perhaps upset about something is not in and of itself a problem. Yeah, and Spurlock admits that, and so does Murphy Robinson, that you can protest. You have the right to protest. In fact, go out and do it. He says, but as soon as you cross that line and as soon as you create some sort of situation where there's damage or violence, that's when police are going to intervene. Yeah, nobody's putting a plywood worried about words, though. We get it. All right. Thank you, Steve. Coloradans are dropping off ballots by the truckload. 2.7 million are in as of this afternoon. With so much of our vote count coming in so early, it looks like we're going to know the result of most Colorado races and statewide ballot issues pretty early tomorrow. Those results, however, will not be final. They are never final on election night, despite what a president may have told you. Politics guy Marshall Zellinger explains our process.
Unless you're in line to vote at a polling center by 7 p.m. tomorrow, Colorado does not accept any ballots turned in after 7 p.m. on election night. Let me repeat. If you're in line by 7 p.m., your vote will count. If you try dropping off your ballot after 7 p.m. tomorrow, it won't count.
7 p.m. on election night is the absolute deadline. We can't accept any ballots from folks running up and saying, hey, 7:01, here's my ballot. can't do it.
Colorado is among the majority of states that require ballots to be received by election night. Why? Because state law says so.
We're a received by state, so we have to have your ballot in our hands by 7 p.m. on election day.
It's right here in the state's election laws. Mail ballot envelopes received after 7 p.m. on the day of the election, but postmarked on or before the day of the election, will remain sealed and uncounted. There are states that do accept ballots based on postmarks. These are the states that plan to count votes postmarked either by today or tomorrow, even if they're received later. In California, they accept ballots postmarked by tomorrow, even if they don't arrive for up to 17 days later. In Pennsylvania, assuming it's not overturned by a court, ballots postmarked by tomorrow will be counted if they're received by Friday. Even though Colorado does not accept late ballots, even if they're postmarked by tomorrow, vote totals will change over the next week.
Folks who had any kind of rejection in their signature and they got a communication from us have up to 9 days post-election to be able to cure that.
This is Denver clerk and recorder Paul Lopez today. Last year, we followed him when he and Peg Pearl were candidates for that job as they chased votes after Election Day in the 2019 race for Denver clerk and recorder. This was during the 8-day period after an election when voters can cure their ballots. 9 days this year because the 8th day falls on Veterans Day. Voters who fix their signatures during this period can have their vote tallied after Election Day and not because it's any funny business helping one specific candidate.
It's a regular process that happens no matter who you vote for. We have no idea who you vote for because those ballots are still sealed at the time that they're being cured.
Here's another reason vote totals can change after Election Day. Let's say you accidentally or purposefully put your ballot in the wrong county's drop box the day after the election. Those county clerks will swap the ballots to make sure, hey, I'm Arapahoe County, but I got the El Paso County ballot, so here you go, El Paso County. And then those ballots start to get counted Wednesday and after, Kyle.
And Marshall, I think one of the things that's been frustrating to me watching what's happening in different states around the country is that rules are either being made up as they go along or courts are changing the rules. Because, I mean, here in Colorado, we've been telling people all along, you know, don't mail your ballot after this date. Drop it off. Everybody in Colorado has known the rules throughout the process.
It's like what's going on in Texas with the challenge of this drive-through voting. It's something that was decided, like if our state legislature decided something in May and then you find out in October that someone finally wanted to challenge it, it's like you knew about this for a long time, and Colorado has known how to do this for a long time.
All right, Marshall, get some sleep. Tomorrow's going to be a long day for you because you're going to have to pull the sled, and I intend to ride on it throughout the evening. How about a pre-election resolution? A goal for later this week that we'll set together now before the votes are tallied. What if everyone reached out to someone in their life who disagrees with them politically? Here's the way this might work. So if you're on the winning end of Election Day, then you're the one who has to reach out in the days to follow. Just touch base with somebody that you know is feeling disappointed. No gloating. Just check in to say, hey, sorry you're disappointed. How about we talk about something we agree on? That could be the Broncos win on Sunday, sunny weather, upcoming work project, the love that you share as a family, whatever it is that brings you together, binds you together. President Lincoln's second inaugural famously spoke of binding up the nation's wounds. Lincoln was echoing Psalm 147. But you don't have to be Abraham Lincoln or the authors of the Bible. All you have to be is a friend, a co-worker, a family member, somebody who extends a hand and remind someone else of all that we have in common. Colorado's businesses are preparing for this coming winter by planning for what they can do to shift some of their business outdoors during this pandemic winter. And there's some grant money available to help.
We're also proposing $105 million in tax relief and direct aid for restaurants, bars, and other small businesses that are hit by capacity restrictions and lack of consumer confidence. Our small businesses are what make up the fabric of our communities, and we want to make sure that the state is there to partner with them to help them get through the difficult winter months, especially with reduced outdoor dining capacity.
That dizzying array of text and charts and graphs and video was Democratic Governor Jared Polis's budget presentation today. It would also increase spending for education, health care, and wildfire mitigation. The governor makes his budget pitch to the legislature's Joint Budget Committee next week, and then the Ledge, of course, has say over the details of the state budget. So the city of Denver has finally selected the so-called safe camping sites for people who are homeless. Both of them are in Cap Hill, both at churches. First Baptist on Grant Street and Denver Community Church's Uptown location on Pearl. City Council approval is not needed for this, but the city is going to hold some virtual meetings for neighbors before they try and open these sites in December. The COVID-19 situation did not get better over the weekend. It is now spreading unchecked across Colorado. There are 755 people in the hospital, and we're on track to top the first wave numbers this week. We were at 513 hospitalized patients this time last week. The positivity rate is now double what public health experts would like to see. We are over 10% today. The weekly average for tests coming back positive is 8.4%. Colorado just added more than 2,100 new COVID-19 cases yesterday, and we are now close to averaging 2,000 cases per day over the last week. A month ago, we were close to 600 new cases a day. All this adds up to say something simple. It's bad right now, getting worse, and it's clear that the small steps taken weeks ago did not slow the virus. I certainly hope that you put it on your to-do list last week and then checked it off. Help fellow Coloradans who lost their homes in the wildfires. You did it. Next viewers have raised $160,000 for our neighbors since last week. $160,000. That's on top of the $530,000 that you donated the week before for wildfire evacuees. The money that was raised in the last week is being split among the 3 county-specific long-term recovery funds. So a third to Grand County, third to Larimer County, third to Boulder County. These last 2 weeks of giving have shattered every record for your Word of Thanks micro-giving campaign. $1.6 million worth of good done in our state, $5 at a time. In a crazy week, I hope that everybody is very proud of that. We salute those who are just getting involved in our democratic process.
While I'm ashamed to admit it, I have never voted in my life.
No need to feel shame. You are in the game now, and that might just encourage others to get out and vote. Celebrating the first-timers and the reasons they're voting this year. Next. The most Colorado thing we saw today is the answer to the question, where my witch is at. They were at Lake Estes over the weekend, a Halloween kayak ride for 2 of them. And a good laugh for anybody who saw them out on the water. And it is wonderful as well to have everybody who was evacuated from Estes Park able to go back home. I have appreciation for all of you who have voted and admiration for those of you voting for the first time, especially if you're older and you're making the effort to engage in our democracy for the first time. If you weren't going to vote this year, perhaps hearing the stories of those next viewers will convince you to get off the sidelines.
My name is Melissa.
My name is Thomas Rolander.
I'm 51 years old.
I'm 58 years old.
While I'm ashamed to admit it, I have never voted in my life.
And I registered to vote for the first time this year.
And I'm proud to say I'm a citizen and a first-time voter.
And I just voted for the first time in my life.
I moved here from Ireland 10 years ago, straight to Colorado.
I'm an immigrant from Stockholm, Sweden.
Why, after 33 years of being an eligible voter, did I decide to vote?
I realize now, more than ever, my voice needed to be heard and counted.
Vote is probably the most powerful weapon or tools I have in my position to express myself.
This year, I became a naturalized U.S. citizen, and this is the first set of elections that I've had the opportunity to vote in.
I voted for the first time in my life. Because of the division in this country, it needs to stop.
It's not about being Republican or Democrat. It's about right and wrong.
I am registered as an unaffiliated, as I don't believe only one party has my best interest at heart.
Whether my choice candidates wins or not, we have to accept the result and move on.
I've always lived by a saying that if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got.
I don't know if I ever thought I could make a difference before, and maybe I can't now, but gotta try.
So please, sign up and vote and make your voice count.
That's my story.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go vote.
This week just started and we could already use a break. So let's take one together and talk about all the encouraging things in life.
We've been blessed to have him with us for the last few days, This is a big distraction because he's very busy.
And when you strip it all away, then you're ready to enter this polling place in Colorado. Wait, hold on. That's next. It can be nice to just set politics aside for a second to allow ourselves to be distracted by something else going on, maybe to gather some encouragement to push through a stressful week ahead. So today we asked some of our neighbors to help with that.
We're here at the Denver Zoo. My first time here.
Yeah, mine too.
Well.
Cheryl and Michael Simmons, and this is our grandson Elias Simmons. He's almost 3. Well, we've been blessed to have him with us for the last few days. This is a big distraction because he's very busy, very busy.
My name is Jason.
I'm Cassidy. It's so nice, especially after the snow last week. Yeah, just getting out of the house. I actually went to California for the weekend. Very different there and here. It's cool to see like how different cities are kind of dealing with it.
So thank God for him, and yeah, that's what we've been doing, trying to keep up with him.
Just keeping my mind off it in general. Got other things going on.
If they got anything to do that needs to take care of in their house, fix it now while you got the time to do it. The weather's nice.
What do you have to say?
We have families who calls us and we check on each other on a daily basis and see what's going on.
Take it easy. It's not the end of the world. If anything, it's 4 years. You move on after that, you know?
And then we're blessed to have days like this, weather like this, that allows us to get out here and really socialize with our grandson, which is great.
So enjoy the weather right now while we have it.
It's a gorgeous day. You couldn't ask for better, not a cloud in the sky.
Don't watch too much news.
Yeah, don't watch too much news. It's horribly depressing. A sign suggests that one of Colorado's polling places is clothing optional. If you dropped off your ballot, you missed all the fun. That's next. It's a sign at a polling place, and it is nakedly obvious. The sign outside the polling station in Buena Vista says, "No campaign materials or clothing allowed in polling place." Now, assuming they don't want you to strip buck naked before entering, perhaps repeating the word campaign again before clothing could have helped with reader comprehension. Next viewer named Donna spotted the sign, and she knew we'd love it. Scott Fassett tweeted in on this. "Nude voting, while undoubtedly enjoyable, probably not COVID safe." That's a good point. Caitlin did not like my outreach commentary tonight. Said, "Kyle, your white A-list cisgender privilege is showing. There's absolutely no way I will reach out to a Trump supporter if he loses." Bob says he's already made dinner plans with some friends. See you next time.